Okay. So in the last session, we have seen how to enable the offerings and options, and we discussed what is the meaning of offering and option. So every product family we are calling as option. In each product family, whatever the applications we have, those we are calling as options. As per FSM, this is the terminology we use. Once we enable offerings and options, you can create implementation project. After creating implementation project or during the implementation project, you can include offerings and options into this project. System creates task list automatically. By using those tasks, you can perform the setups. Now we'll just go through the same implementation project, whatever we created in the last session. We'll discuss few points and accordingly we can proceed. So connect to the instance, the same user. So we created implementation project. To navigate to implementation project, click on username. Click on username. Now go to setup and maintenance task. Go to setup and maintenance task. And go to task list. Click on manage implementation projects. Just click on overview so that system will display whatever the projects are assigned to the current user called as ERPTREE. Click on overview. It will display whatever the project is assigned to this user. What is the project name we given? Max implementation project we created in the last session. Click on the same name. The project is open. Inside of the project, what we have? We have a financials offering. Along with that, we added payables option as a define invoicing and payment configuration. For a testing purpose, also we added task called as manage payment terms. Now these we can remove. These two. One is option, other one is task. Both we have inside our financials already. Just for our understanding purpose, we did it. Select, delete. Say yes. We want to delete this option from our project. Also, the task called as manage payment terms. Delete. Select and click on delete or say remove. Now we have financials. So once you start doing the setups, you can set the status as in progress. Okay, once you start working on this project, you can set the status as in progress. Now, when we talk about financials, for the entire financials also you can set the status. Here we have a status icon. Directly click on status icon, or else what you can do is select financials and click on edit status. You have to select financials, click on edit status. Say you started working on the financials. You can set the status as in progress and say save and close. For entire financials, we are setting the status as in progress. It means by looking at this project, within the project, by looking at this financials, we can understand project started, within the project financials also started, because project status is in progress. Our financial status also in progress. Say within the financials, you completed payable setups. As a consultant, you completed payable setups. If you complete payable setups within the financials, you can update the same. Expand financials. Within the financials, we have payables as define invoicing and payment configuration. Okay, with this name we have payables. Now click on the status called as in progress and set the status as completed. Say save and close. So entire financial status is in progress. Payable status is completed. Now, if you expand the payables related task list, you can see everything as completed. Entire payables level we enable or we have set the status called as completed. The same is applicable for entire payables. Entire payables, within the payables you may have a task list or a specific task. Expand this folder. We have tasks. For every level, you can see the status as a completed. So this is how you can set the status. Say for example, so for entire payables, we have set the status as completed. If not entire, you can go to fixed assets, expand fixed assets. In the fixed assets, say you completed this setup. Yes, you can set the status only for the task. Completed. And if you want to set the status, this you can collapse, we will discuss. Now say expense configuration, you not yet started. Now you can set the status here. Click on status and you can say not started. You can set the status. Now if you look at expenses configuration, you can understand status is not started. Okay, status is not started. This is how you can set the status. So this is how you can update the status against the project, entire offering level or specific option level. If not option, within the option, specific task level. This is all about updating the status. And another point is, however we assign this implementation project to this user or employee, you can say. As of now, this ERPTREE is not employee, just user. But ERPTREE can be employee also. You can create as employee and we can select here. So it may be to the user or employee. You can take as a user. So we assign this implementation project to ERPTREE user. In the same way, you can assign the entire offering or specific option or task list within the option. Finally, you can assign specific task also to team members within the project, or you can say user. So all these levels, you can do the user assignments. Say I want to assign entire financials to one consultant. The consultant is going to complete all the setups. I want to assign it. I can select financials, click on assign tasks. Click on assign tasks. Here is the users association section, assigned users. No user is mapped with the financials for assignment. Now we are going to assign these financials to specific user. User is nothing but consultant who has to take the responsibility of financial setups. That username we have to select. Click on add. Just click on add. And user ID. User ID you can take here as a, I'll take one of the existing user, fin_impl. Many users are there. Since this is a practice instance, you can search. I'm selecting one of the user. Okay. fin_impl_impl. Just for our testing purpose. Click on done. Okay, apply and click on done. Now you can see that assignment. Just close this. Yeah. So now the financials, okay, is the offering to the financials. We are mapping this user. That means this user has to take the responsibility of completing the setups for financials. Now, if you want to add one more user, you can add it. The entire financials you can assign to one or multiple users. And you can set the due date. this FinIMPL user or say consultant should complete all the setups related to financials by which due date? Maybe by this 30th. So this is how you can set the status. Okay, you can set the, sorry, just you can set the status and you can do the assignments and you can set the due date for that assignments. Say save and close. If you don't want to assign entire offering to specific user, within the offering, what are the different options we have? You can call as options. The options are available as a different task list. You can assign to those task list also. See, expand financials. Now I want to assign invoicing and payment configuration, nothing but payables. I want to assign these payables to one consultant or you say user. Now you have to click on, you can select it, click on assign tasks. Okay, select, click on assign tasks and click on add. Now you can assign to so and so user. Just search with any name or else by default it is showing the users. I want to assign to this user. Just click on done. The entire payables we are assigning to one user. Before assigning entire payables to this user, already entire financials are assigned to another user. For payable setups, this user has to complete by which date, that you can set as a due date. Okay, you can set as a due date. If you set the due dates, what system will do is it will start calculating the days, how many days, in how many days this user has to complete the setups. If this user is not able to complete the setups as per the due date, it will display how many days past due. Those setups are how many days past due. All the information it can calculate and it can provide. Let's say this user has to complete all these setups by tomorrow. Say save and close. Now, just expand payables. Okay, expand payables. So expand payables. Now you can see we assign payables to this user. And there are two more users. Place the cursor here. One is ERPTREE, the other one is FinIMPL. Entire financials we assign to FinIMPL. Then how come ERPTREE user is coming here? Because entire project is assigned to ERPTREE. That's how this is getting defaulted for entire project related setups. So this is how we can do the assignments and you can set the due dates. So accordingly, system can start tracking what is the status of specific offering or option or task list or task, and what are the offerings, options and tasks or task lists are assigned to which users, and what is the due date, when the setups need to be completed, which setups are completed, and the progress of the project. When you talk about the progress of the project, here we have to understand the setups. What is the progress of the setup system can calculate? This is what we have to understand. Okay. So this is what we have to understand. So this is what we have to understand about assigning the resource to project or options or offerings or tasks, updating the status at project and various levels. If you update the status and if you assign the resource, what is the benefit? Let's see that. Click on done. Now see, project level it is reflecting. It's showing. So 779 tasks are in the progress. It means we have set the status. We have set the status as 779 tasks are in progress. We updated status as a in progress. And how much percentage? 39% of the tasks are in progress. And 6% setups are updated as a completed. The 6% means how many tasks in the pop-up you can see 117 tasks status is updated as a completed. Reality, we didn't complete, but just to understand how these changes can reflect against our project, we updated. And here you can see 55% tasks means 1090 tasks are not started. 1090 tasks are not started, that we can see in this status. So this is how we can see the status, whatever we update against the project. And here you can see the due dates. In this week, these many setups need to be completed. Those status is not started. Next week, these tasks need to be completed, and as of now, status is not started. And there are multiple tasks, okay, with the different statuses. For all those, there is no due date. Here, there is no due date. Due date is none, but completed 117. These status is in progress for 779. Due date is none. And here, due date is none. 39 tasks we have. The progress is not started. So this is how you can see by due date. And here you can see, so the status, how many are completed, what is the percentage, what is the count. Now click on another tab called as assignment status by task list. Click on assignment status by task list. Here you can see the detail level within the financials. Now you can see within the financials. So these grouping of the setups, how many are completed, how many are not started, how many are in the progress. If you take it, especially payables, what is the status of the payables? If you take example of expense, what is the status? Fixed assets, how many tasks not started, how many tasks are in progress. Receivables. Okay, you can see options wise wherever it is applicable. And you can go to resource status. Go to resource, you can see for FinIMPL, these many setups are assigned. The next week, 935 setups need to be completed by FinIMPL user or employee, or you can say, ideally not employee, consultant. User or consultant, you can say. To this ERPTREE user, 818 tasks are assigned. And to this user, 116 tasks are assigned. And again, related to these users, due dates you can see. This week, this user has to complete these many setups. Next week, FinIMPL user has to complete these many setups. In 3 weeks, nothing. In coming 3 weeks, nothing is scheduled. Okay, 3 weeks. So that's how you can check here. Even in fact, you can click on this, it will display the 116 tasks. If you want to see, you can click on this anywhere. Anywhere you can see that the graphical representation, the bars or whatever the graphical representation, you can click, it will display what are those. So these all setups are assigned to this user. Many setups. Okay, go to assignment status. Now, if you want to see 6% setups which are completed, click on the same section. It will take you to those setups. Okay, these are the tasks which are already completed. Reality, we didn't complete, but just we have set the status to understand how those can be updated against the project. So by looking at these, okay, the representation, you can understand how many completed, how many not completed, how many are in progress, what is the due dates, Okay, when we are going to complete these setups, everything you can have a very greater visibility. So for that reason, we have to update the statuses. By updating the statuses, by setting the due dates, we are not setting any controls. Make a note of this point. This is just for information purpose. If you want to set, otherwise ignore it. There is no harm. This is how it works. Setting the statuses, assigning these offerings, options, task list or tasks to specific team members, not mandatory. Reality, when we are working on the implementation project, everybody knows their responsibility in the project, what they have to do. They are working for which application? Are they working for payables or receivables or both? Or all the applications are specific application? Everybody knows within the instance, you no need to set payables implementation should be done by so and so consultant. You don't need to set. As a part of implementation team, everybody knows who is going to work on what. All the time we can have a interactions with other team members, meetings. That's how you no need to maintain in the system, but you have a provision. You have an option in the system to maintain the data if you want to maintain. The same way status also. It is not mandatory you have to set the status. Even if you don't set the status, say we are the 4 members working on the financials. If you or someone else do something, definitely if not today in the tomorrow meeting we will discuss, or else there will be email communication. We can exchange the emails stating that on so and so application, so and so setups are completed, or entire application setups completed or not completed. So we can keep in touch as a part of team members. That's how everybody will come to know. So these statuses and assignments not mandatory. We have a option to set. If you want to set, you can set, or else you can ignore it. Mostly we don't set the statuses. We'll start working on the project. We'll keep doing the setups. We can have a like meetings. So everybody will come to know what is the on track, off track. That's how things will get updated and information can be exchanged. So you have option, you have to understand. And another important point is, if I assign payables to one user, don't think another user cannot do the payable setups. Don't think in that way. Another user also can go and do the setup. Say payables are assigned to X user, X consultant. Y consultant can go and do the setups. Or else the G consultant can go and do the setups. So there is no hard and fast rule which says if something is assigned to so and so consultant, that consultant only should complete their setup. That you cannot set up here. When it comes to recording the transaction, you can set. You can set the restrictions, but when we are going to perform the setups, you cannot set a rule. So and so person only can complete. No. Who has access to FSM with the help of application implementation consultant role, they can do any setups in any project. You cannot set any restrictions. If somebody has access to application implementation consultant role that allow the user to have access to FSM, functional setup manager, within the functional setup manager, we are going to maintain all these projects. That's how it works. Okay, that's how it works. So this is what we have to understand. Done. Any questions on these points, please? Any questions from anyone, please?
Hi, Lakshman.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah. The status we are manually changing. Is it not automated? Like as we complete the setups, it is changing.
You know,
It's not like that.
that Oracle can do, but why they are not doing is there are many setups. There are many setups. How many client will create? Nobody knows. Take
Okay.
example, supplier creation. I'll go to the task called as supplier creation and I'll create the supplier. Our system can understand I created all the suppliers, whatever I need.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
It cannot understand. That is the reason it cannot be updated automatically the moment you do the setups. So you have to take the initiative to update the status.
Okay. So when the new supplier will come, we have to again change it to in progress.
You no need to update the status first of all. Okay. You no need to set the status. You keep creating the suppliers or you keep creating something, whatever you need. Only at the time of implementation, you may just set the status.
Okay.
As a part of implementation, you complete it. Once client will start using the system as an ongoing activity, they may do some additional setups. The reality, we don't update the status. But just for information, you should understand, I'm explaining.
Okay. Okay.
Not
Even though it
suggested.
is completed, we could do the changes setups.
Yeah, you can do that, but generally we don't do it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions, please?
Hi, Lakshman.
Yeah, please.
Consultant and users are different thing, or I mean, are they
Different.
different? Yeah.
See,
So if
here,
different, yeah.
no, one
Yeah.
second, 1 second. Let me explain. Let me complete that. Then you can go to next question related to or different.
Okay.
See, when you say consultant, who is going to work on the system? When I say user, your consultant may have a user to access the instance, or else your employee may have access to instance as a user. User means who is accessing the instance. User can be consultant or user can be employee.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Any other questions, please? No questions. Okay. Now, so let's talk about this instance related versions or releases. Okay, versions or releases.
Lakshman, I have one question.
Please.
Yeah, can we restrict this status to particular user?
No, not possible.
not possible.
Okay, like managers want to see and other teams is a restriction. That restriction we
No,
cannot.
listen one thing. Please. You can go on mute. I think it is, you have a different systems. Fine. See, here we are talking about implementation. Once implementation is done, there could be team who will be working on the system to record the business transactions. For payables, there could be payables manager, receivables manager. In that aspect, you can set what are the controls you require. So when we talk about this implementation project, what is the role of the manager? Nothing. As a part of system, whatever the implementation project we have, this can be managed by consultant. Manager is not going to touch this project. Okay. The implementation project is created by consultant. The implementation project, consultant will work. The manager is not going to involve in this implementation project. This implementation nothing but setup related implementation. When you talk about real implementation, so there are many activities which need to be carried by manager. That's a different thing.
Oh, got it.
Yes. Any other questions, please? No. Now, so let's try to understand the versions and releases related to this Fusion applications. Here I have notes. So earlier we have EBS 11i. EBS stands for E-Business Suite. E stands for electronic or E stands for enterprise, you can treat. EBS stands for EBS stands for E-Business Suite. E stands for electronic, or you can say enterprise. So in that we have a version called as 11i. In the 11i, I stands for internet. So this EBS 11i outdated many years ago, but still the very, very big clients for Oracle is supporting. Okay, Oracle is supporting. After 11i, Oracle introduced EBS R12. R12 means release 12. Within the EBS, Oracle introduced R12, release 12. After release 12, the release 12 still it is running in the market. Along with the release 12, Oracle introduced Fusion. Fusion applications are represented with 11G. We have 11G for a database version also, but Fusion applications they're given as 11G. Within the 11G, the representation what they do is they put the versions like this. From the 11G, they take 11.1. Maybe 17.1.0. So this is how the detailed extended version they are giving. Here you have to look at these 7. 7 means release 7, R7. After this, Oracle released 8. Okay, after this, Oracle released 8. After 8, they released 9. After 9, 10. After 10, 11. After 11, 12. After 12, 13. Now we are standing at 13. When we talk about Fusion applications, we don't call it as a Fusion 11G. Here you don't represent 11.1.1.7. Later, Oracle reduced that extended version to simply 11.1.13.0.0. This is how they reduced. Whatever it may be, you have to look at this number. Whether it is 11 or 12 or 13, you have to see. After reaching this release 13, Oracle stopped going with the next releases like 14, 15, 16. Instead of going with that next numbers as releases, what Oracle started doing is, in every quarter, they are releasing the patches. They are releasing few patches. What the patches will do is, it will add some new functionality wherever it is required, and it will update something, it will upgrade something wherever something is missing or need to be added. And they will fix the issues, or you can say bugs. Bug means the program related issues within the application. So to fix the bugs or issues and to introduce something as a new, or to upgrade something from the current to next level, every quarter Oracle releasing the patches. And they are applying the patches. We don't need to worry about it. They are releasing and they are applying the patches. Okay. So those are the like a quarter recurring activity. Every quarter they apply the patches. So that's how Oracle is keep doing, and they are standing with the release as 13, and they are updating every quarter patches. Now, if you look at the instance, you can understand what is the latest patch is applied on that instance. We'll go and see where you can verify the release of our instance. If you are going to talk with somebody about instances, okay, you don't need to say 11 and all. 11 is the version for Fusion, but we never represent with the Fusion with the version. Always we represent with the release only. We'll go to the instance and we'll see where you can find the release for our instance and what latest patch is applied on our instance. So go to instance. So within this instance, okay, within this instance, you can click on username. Click on username. It is opening the panel. Now, here you have one task called as about this application. You click on this task. Okay, once you click on the username, you can click on this username from any page. Click on username. The panel is open. Now click on about this application. Click on about this application. So here you can understand 11. This is the version. This is the release 13. This is the second level you can see as a release. And what is this 23010? This 23 is nothing but year 2023. From year 2023, they are taking last 2 digits, suffix of the year. 23 means year 2023. What is the 01? 01 means month, John. So it means in this instance, the year of 2023, the John month, they applied the latest patch. So 4 times they are applying the patches per year in 4 quarters. That means last quarter they applied, in this quarter they not yet applied. Still we are in the second quarter. In 2023, the second quarter patch is not applied on this instance. They may apply by this in this month or next month. What is this 23A? Again, 23 is year. 23 is year. A means first quarter, B means second quarter, C means third, D means fourth. Here, since it is talking about John, John is belongs to first quarter. That is the reason it is taking A. Don't think because John it is A. It could be Feb, it would be A only. It could be March. March also belongs to first quarter. That is the reason A. First quarter, if patch is applied, it will be displayed as A. Second quarter patch is applied B. Third quarter C. Now, when we talk about these instances, how latest instance is that to talk, we simply represent the naming convention as, so which instance you are using, you can say release 1323A, release 1323B, release 1323C or D. This is how we call that instance releases, including the patch names. And this is what we have to understand about how to verify which instance we are using. Which instance means which release of instance. Almost all the clients who are using the release 13 only. And the patches anyway, Oracle is keep applying the patches. Every quarter they apply the patches. Almost every client will be very updated environment. So this is what we have to understand when we talk about the release as well as patches which Oracle is applying with quarterly intervals. Okay. The rest you no need to understand anything. Okay. Here you no need to go and understand anything. So this is what we have to see here. Okay. 11, it's a version. We never use that for any kind of communication purpose. Only always we use release within the release and which year and what quarter patch is applied, that you can see here. That's it. So that's how you can understand any instance which release and which patch is applied. How latest patch is applied, that you can verify. So that is one thing. So before we proceed with a few other points, any questions, please? Any questions from anyone, please? Okay, no questions now. So once your implementation project is ready, we can start doing the setups. The very first step is we have to create the user. To the same user, we have to assign the 2 roles. Those are application implementation consultant and IT security manager. What is the second step? We have to enable offerings and options. Third step, create implementation project, and include offerings and options. Automatically system will create the task list, and you can update the status or you can ignore. You can assign the tasks or offerings or options, or you can ignore. That is not mandatory. So user creation, one step, enabling offering, second step, third step is implementation project creation and including the offerings. 3 steps. What is the 4th step? Let's talk about the 4th step, what referred as a 4th step. You have to create the transactions in the system. To create the transactions, what information is required? If you want to create the transaction, what information is required? For every transaction, when we are recording, the transaction belongs to which period we have to capture in the system. It means for every transaction, we have to capture the date. Okay, in every transaction, you have to capture the date. So along with the date, what information you have to capture? You have to capture the details of the transaction. The details, or say description. You have to describe about the transaction. Means you have to write the details of the transaction. So since the transactions are belongs to company, you have to write more detail level so that you can produce the reports accordingly. Whatever the transaction you are going to record in the system, that should be useful for us to create the reports. That is the reason you have to provide the details, whatever you require to produce the reports. If you are recording the transaction is belongs to which company, which department, if required in which location you are doing the transaction, and exactly what activity you are doing. These details, if any additional details also you required, you can include within every transaction, so that for each and every company or each and every department wise or each and every location wise, you will be able to generate the reports so that you can find out how much you are spending, how much revenue you are generating, how much profit you are making. Everything you will be able to track with the help of reports. If you are able to record that same information, you can use for reporting purpose. So that's how you can write the details within the transaction. You can write the details within the transaction. Another point. Along with the details, you have to enter the amount also. Whenever you record the transaction, whatever it may be, the transaction, you have to enter the amount. Say you are purchasing. What you are purchasing, you will write in the description. When you are purchasing, you will capture with the date and how much amount, the purchase value is how much you have to write. You are selling something. When you are selling, what exactly you are selling, you have to write in the description. What is the value of that sales activity, you have to write the amount. That means you have to write the amount. Let me take some amount, say 10,000. I am writing 10,000. Now, this 10,000 you have to enter. We will discuss everything more detail level. As of now, you take this point. Okay. In every transaction, to make more meaningful, when you are doing that activity, you have to write with a date. What exactly you are doing, that you can write in the details, or you can call as a description. And what is the volume of the amount volume value that you have to write within every transaction. It may be purchase, or it may be payment, or it may be sale, or it may be customer payment, or it may be some asset related information, whatever it may be. In every transaction, you have to enter the amount. Okay, you have to enter some amount. So these details are very, very important, so that if you look at the transaction, it makes sense. You can find the meaning in the transaction. If there is no date, if you are writing the description and amount, doesn't make sense. This transaction belongs to 10 years ago, or today transaction, or yesterday transaction. You cannot find. If you are not entering the amounts, there is no use of the transaction with the date and details. If you are entering the date and you are entering the amount, if there is no details, you cannot understand whether what amount that is and on which the date, whenever you are recording, even if you have a date, you have amount, if there is no clue on the date the amount is belongs to which activity, there is no use of that information. That is the reason in every transaction what you record in the system, you should capture the date and you have to write the details of the transaction and you have to enter the amount. So this is how you can enter the transaction in the system in more meaningful way. Now we'll go one by one. Okay, I'm just giving the numbers. Date is 1. The details is 2. Amount is 3. Now these three are 3 components you can say. Okay, 3 components. Date, details, amount. By using these 3 components, I'm calling as a components. By using these 3 components, you can create the transactions in the system in more meaningful way. First, we'll talk about the date component. If you want to capture the date within a Fusion applications, okay, if you want to capture the date within our system, what we have to do? We have to create calendar in the system. Okay, we have to create the calendar in the system. We have to create the calendar in the system. So if you want to create the calendar, how to create the calendar? What points need to be considered when you create the calendar? The first point is, whatever the calendar you are going to create, the calendar belongs to which country? Okay, you have to consider country. Why we have to consider the country? Every country follows specific financial year. Take India, April to March. Take US, Jan to December. Take some other countries, different financial year. So that is the reason you have to take country into consideration. When you do the implementation for Indian client, when you create the calendar, you have to look at what is the financial year in India. For that reason, you have to take the country into consideration, what the country is following as a financial year, that as per that financial year, you have to create the calendar. Means you have to consider the country financial year. Then period. Within the calendar, are you going to have a periods like daily or weekly or monthly, quarterly, hourly, yearly? How you are going to have the periods? So by default, the period type we use as a monthly. You look at any calendar, the standard periods are months in every calendar. So first point is financial year you have to consider. Second point is period type. Ideally, that is monthly. If you have a month as a period in accounting calendar, how many periods we can have? 12 periods. But within the calendar, you can create more than 12 periods. The additional periods also we can create. Additional periods. Okay, when you say period, monthly, 12 periods. So more than 12 periods you can create in the calendar. There is no scope to create more than 12. When you go with monthly, Jan to December or April to March, 12 only. But in the system, we have a provision. We have an option to create more than 12 periods. It means we are going to create additional periods. We are going to create additional periods. When you create the additional periods, these additional periods, what purpose we are going to use? And before we talk about those additional periods, the additional periods are not required and not mandatory by default. Okay, those are not mandatory. Take any country, if period type is monthly, 12 periods. Let them start in any year, any month. In one country, financial year may start with the December. It may end in the next year, November. So this is how it can start at any point of time. It can end in the specific period. But when you count it, there will be 12 periods if it is monthly. But you can create more than 12. Those additional periods, what you create in the calendar is adjustment periods. Okay, adjustment periods. So adjustment periods are not mandatory in the calendar. Okay. So why these adjustment periods you may require as a client? When we are closing the books in the end of the year, there could be some provisions, some adjustments, which you cannot finalize. There are few customers who not paid, whether are they going to pay or it's going to become bad debts where they are not going to pay. In the same way, supply related some liabilities and certain information. When we are closing the books for the entire year, you may not be in the position to take some decision, whether we have to ignore those or we have to take it forward and how we have to convert, how we have to classify. You cannot take some certain decisions. That sort of information you can record separately in the adjustment period. If we take US financial year, Jan to December, when we close the books in the December, when you close the December period, the end of the year, when we are closing the books, in the December month itself, you can record these adjustment entries. Yes, that option is available. If you want to record in the December, okay, you don't need adjustment period. If you want to record the adjustment entries separately, you can have a adjustment periods within the calendar. So 3 points. One is we have to know the country financial year. Second point is the period type, monthly. Third point is adjustment periods, additional periods. So if required, you can have additional periods. If you look at reality, the many clients are not using any adjustment periods. There are few clients who are using the adjustment periods, but always we have to recommend, to have at least one adjustment period within the calendar. Why? Now they may not planning to have a separate period to record the adjustments. In future, they may come up with a requirement. We want to track all the adjustments in the separate period. End of the year, we need one adjustment period. If client says it is not possible, at the time of implementation, we have to take care of it. Once implementation is done, after implementation, after 1 year or 2 years, if they realize it's always good to have an adjustment period to track adjustment entries separately, that is not possible. So that is reason when we are creating accounting calendar, or you can call as accounting calendar, the calendar for the client in any implementation, as a consultant, we have to recommend. Better you can have at least one adjustment period at the end of the year, so that if you want to record any adjustment entries, you can record. If you don't want to record, let it be. In future, if required, you can use it. As a consultant, this is how we have to give the suggestion to the client. This is what we have to understand about calendar. In the system, yes, you can call it as a calendar, or you can call it as accounting calendar. With any name you can call calendar or accounting calendar. Because when we create the transactions, the calendar we are going to use to create the accounting entries, means with the calendar, with the date, we create accounting. What is the accounting will come to know? We'll create accounting. So that means the transactions belongs to which accounts and all we specify. We create accounting. That is the reason this calendar we call as accounting calendar, or simply you can call as calendar. Done. This calendar we create within the GL application. That is the reason you can call it as GL calendar also. By default, we call as an accounting calendar. You can call it as simply calendar. Since we create this calendar within the GL application, that you can call as GL calendar. These are the names we have, and these are the points we have to understand. If you have any questions, let me know. If no questions, we'll go and see how to create this calendar in the system.
So
Any
just one.
questions?
So this adjustment periods, which month of the balance sheet, or where will they appear? In which accounting period will they appear? Like suppose we have only 12 periods.
Got it. Where we are going to maintain this adjustment period as per our discussion?
Any month the user can choose.
No. So
December.
I'm just checking with you what we discussed. End of the year.
End of the year. Yeah. Okay.
When you say end of the year, this period will be next to which period?
Last period.
Yeah, if you take US financial year,
December. Yeah, after
December,
December.
it would be next to December.
Hmm.
So as a 13th period, we don't have any dates, right?
Correct.
That is the reason from December, you will take 1 day or 2 days or 1 week into this adjustment period. That's it.
Okay. Okay. I got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Thank you.
By default, system will take only one. If you want to increase, you can increase. That's how it works. We'll see in the system.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So any other questions, please? No questions.
Lakshman, just one
Please.
doubt.
Please.
So this adjustment will be done in the next year's first month, or how
No,
is
no,
it?
no. In the current year only. Current year
Okay.
only, we'll track all the adjustments.
Mhm.
When we are moving to the next year, okay, when we move to the next year, this all we will reverse, and the realizations we will update in the next year, or else the same adjustments you can move to the next year.
Okay.
Yeah. We are going to record in the same year, which year you are closing, within that year related dates, in the last period dates we will use in the adjustment period. Same year, not in the next year.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's proceed. We'll go and see how to create this accounting calendar in the system. Okay, let's see how to create the accounting calendar in the system. So go to instance, open this project. So within the project, you can take the navigation, expand financials. From here, you can expand, define common financials configuration. Sorry, not this. Define common application configuration for financials, expand it. And again, within this, you can expand other subfolders. Say, I'm going to expand, define enterprise structure for financials. Okay. And again, here I will go and expand, define enterprise for financials. So this is how I have to keep expanding to go and perform certain activity. Instead of going with this kind of path, navigation, what you can do is whatever you want to do, anything you want to do, okay, you can directly search and you can do it. See here, I'll go to define financial reporting structure. Wait for a minute. Here I will expand, define calendars. Here you have your accounting calendar task. To create accounting calendars, what path you are following? Long path. Many folders we have to open. Finally, you can reach it. We never do this. We never do this. Directly we search for the task. What you want to do? We want to create accounting calendar. Just you can search for accounting calendar. You don't need to give the full name also. Just say accounting CAL. Search. You click on the search icon, it will fetch. See, it is showing task name. Manage accounting calendars. 99% of tasks, whatever we perform in the from project or within the instance, starts with the prefix called as manage. When we are searching, you no need to include the manage. Directly with the actual task name, you can search. Maybe partial name or full name you can use and you can search. So this is how you can search for any task from this task field so that directly you can access the task. Now click on manage accounting calendars. Now click on go to task icon. See, here is the one question mark which refers help. If you don't know what is the meaning of accounting calendar, you can click on this help icon. Just click on that help icon. It will just open one pop-up window. There you can find certain information. If you want to know any further information, there you can find hyperlinks. You can click on that. It will take you to the relevant pages. That's how you can have access to help repository what Oracle is providing for these Fusion applications for different tasks or different pages. Okay. See, this is how it is opening. Manage the accounting calendar. If you want to know more detail of accounting calendar, you can click on this accounting calendar options, how accounting calendars are validated, etc. Or else directly you can click on manage help content. It will take you to the help portal. Just click on any one of the link. It will take you to the separate portal. Here you can see about accounting calendars here. Accounting calendar options, FAQs for accounting calendar. Okay. So how can I identify errors in my accounting? What is the difference between the calendar and the physical period naming? How to update existing calendar? These all you can just check here. So that's how there is an option to navigate to the help content from here. If you are not able to see this help icon here, what could be the reason? The reason could be in this panel. If you click on the username within the panel, you can see hide help icon. If I click on hide, everywhere system will hide this help icon, the question mark icon, it will hide. That's how you can hide or you can display. If it is not displayed here, you can go and click on show help icon. By default, it would be show help icon. See here, I'm clicking on this. Now it is saying show. If I refresh this page, it won't display this. Then if I click on show, it will show. That's how you can on and off the help icon. Not only here, everywhere within the instance, wherever help icon is applicable, where Oracle is providing the help to understand about the page or a specific task or any concept, the help icon you can see. So this is what you have to understand. Now, click on the go to task icon. There is a arrow mark. You can click on this. It will take us to accounting calendar page. This is a page where you can create the accounting calendars. So this is a practice instance we are using. That is the reason you can see many calendars here. But anyway, we are not going to use any calendar. In the fresh instance, how we create the calendar, we are going to create. In case of fresh instance, this is how you see this page. You don't see any sample calendars in fresh instance. Oracle is not going to create or Oracle is not going to provide any calendars in the fresh instance. This is how you see this page. You can create the calendars, how many calendars you require. For one country, one calendar. Okay, for two countries also you can use one calendar. When? If two countries are following the same financial year. I can create an accounting calendar. I may use for 5 countries also. If 5 countries are going to follow the same financial year, say Jan to December, 5 countries are following as a financial year. Yes, one I can create. I can use the same one for 5 countries to record the transactions. Let's see how to create our accounting calendar in this page. Click on create icon. There is a plus icon. Click on that plus icon. And you can provide the name. You can give the name as, here this field allows very short name. It doesn't allow the long name. That is the reason I'm going to give the name as Max ACC CAL. See, after L, I'm typing something. It is accepting the 2 or 3 more characters. That's all. More than that is not accepting. That is the reason I given short name. Max ACC CAL accounting calendar. The name is mandatory field. Description is optional. If you want to write the detailed description, yes, you can write it. Say Max accounting calendar for USA. We are creating this accounting calendar for USA. When we talk about US, as per US financial year, what is the start date for accounting calendar? Jan 1st. That you have to set as a start date. Here you can select Jan 1st. I want to create accounting calendar from this year. I can create like this. And period frequency by default monthly. Ideally, we use monthly. And system will create the name by following this format. This is the format it is using to create in this. So John, from the month prefix, from 2023 year suffix, you can change the format. Maybe you want to see year and month, full year and month, full year 2023 month. You can change the formats like this. How you want to see accordingly, you can give the format. Whatever by default system is taking, that is a standard format. Okay, that is a very standard format which we use in the most of the implementations. John year, okay, John short name and hyphen year. It makes sense. So if you give 01, 07, again user has to think, somebody has to think 7 means whether June or July or August, something like I mean some calculation again required. So directly you can just give the name by just seeing, anyone can understand. No need to go with some calculations to identify. 4 means April, 6 means June. So you can follow this format. And so between the period and year, you want to keep some segregation, separation, that you can set here. By default hyphen, the same system is taking as hyphen here, the same you can accept. If not hyphen, you may set slash. Now Jan slash 23, otherwise you can set none. Ideally, we don't go with a none or slash, always we keep hyphen. That is a very acceptable format. Now, within this accounting calendar, how many adjustment periods you want to have? Adjustment period frequency. By default, once at year end, reality, this is what we use. What are the different options are available? We'll go and see. Click on this drop down, you can see there are many options. So you may select once at beginning of the year, once at end of the year. It means you want to use 2 adjustment periods. One adjustment period in the beginning of the year, means before June, one adjustment period, after December, one adjustment period. Or else you may want to have once mid-year and once at year end. The other option is in the mid of the year 1 and 2 at the end of the year, twice at year end. Once at year end, twice at year end, directly 2 at the end of the year, none, no adjustment periods required. See, I am selecting none. What system will say? It is recommended that you define at least one adjustment period at the end of the year to accommodate potential adjustment entries. Do you want to continue? So that's what system is giving the message. Okay, so at least one is very much recommended. Again, in future, you cannot take the decision to increase to add adjustment periods within the calendar. Calendar creation is one-time activity for the entire life of your company. If you are, whatever the period you are going to use the system, you have to follow the same calendar. You cannot do any changes. That is the reason you have to take the decision very wisely when you are creating calendar, whether you really need adjustment periods or not. You cannot decide now. In future, you may need adjustment periods. That is the reason even Oracle seriously recommending to have at least one. Or else quarterly. Quarterly means for every quarter, it will add one period. Okay, Jan, Feb, March, one adjustment. April, May, June, one adjustment. That's how for every quarter, it will add adjustment period. It means quarterly means every quarter, one adjustment, total 4 adjustment periods. The other one is other. Okay, the other option is other. It means you can set how many adjustment periods you require. 5, 6, 7, you can set. It will create all the adjustment periods at the end of the year. So that's how they given the flexibility, but reality, this is the one we use in most of the implementations. And there is one checkbox called as budgetary control only. Okay, budgetary control only. This is for budgeting purpose. Now you don't need to focus on it. When we deal with the budgets, I'll talk about it. When we deal with the budgets, we will discuss about this budgetary control only. What is the meaning? Why it is here? Now our focus is
There is
how
one
to
question.
create the accounting calendar. How we are creating? We are giving the name. Description is optional. If you want to provide, provide, or else ignore it. Start date. This is start date. Say you are creating accounting calendar for India, then very simple. So what date you have to give? When India financial year starts? April. You have to give 1st April 23. It will create the periods up to next year, March. That's how system can create automatically. Period frequency is monthly, and the separator format, based on the separator format, you can see the name format here, period name format, and you can set how many adjustment periods are required. Once you set all these, you can click on next. The moment you click on next, system will create periods for this accounting calendar for the selected year. What year you selected? 23. For the entire 23, it created periods. Jan to December, you have system is creating the periods, and along with this Jan to December, 13th period also it created. It is giving the name as 13 December 23. If you look at the date range, it is taking December 31, 23 to December 31, 23. How many days it is taking from December? Only 1 day. If you want to increase, you can increase, no worries. By default, system is taking only 1 day from December month to create adjustment periods as a 13th period. And you can see for system understanding and our understanding, so it is enabling adjustment period here. If it is not adjusted, enabled as adjustment period, system will not allow to create this period because the dates cannot be overlapped. Whatever the date is belongs to so and so period, that cannot be reused in another period. If it is adjustment period, yes, that is allowed. If it is a normal period, that is a blunder mistake if you are entering or system is creating. So that is, since this is adjustment period, whatever the date is already there in the December month as a 31st December, that we are able to, our system is able to copy to adjustment period. This is what we have to understand. Now, we created accounting calendar, periods are created, and you can see the period number is followed 30 up to 13 periods, and automatically system is taking the each period is belongs to which quarter. Jan, Feb, March falls under this quarter one. Why it is taking? This all will be useful for reporting. So tomorrow, if you want to generate the report for first quarter, already the quarter, first quarter means which periods, already it is given the number as a 1. That's how you can find out the quarters also when we are going to create the, or when we are going to generate the reports. Okay, you no need to create quarters separately. Once you create the periods, it will create as a quarters, the entire, all the periods it will take as a year also. This all system will take care. When we deal with the reports, you can see that. Now, I'm going to save it. Once I save this accounting calendar, you can add the periods for next year within the same accounting calendar. We don't create accounting calendars separately for every year. Only one accounting calendar we create for one country. So within the same accounting calendar, we can keep adding the periods. So now this is belongs to 2023, Jan to December. So whenever we enter into next year, we have to add the periods for 2024. Now periods we have for only 2023. Say now we are entering into 2024. What you can do is one click. Just click on add year. When you click on add year, for next year, it will add the periods within the same accounting calendar automatically. Just click on add year. The moment you click on add year, it will add the periods. You see, now all the periods are 24 periods. And you can save it. So that's how with one click, you can generate the periods for one entire year. You no need to add the period name and the year, number, quarter, start date, end date. So this all we used to enter through manual process in case of EBS. In EBS R12 or 11A, we used to enter these, or else we go with some other mechanisms like data loaders or so other options to automate this process. But Fusion, within the Fusion, the automated accounting calendar creation, you no need to enter anything, just provide inputs how you are planning to have your accounting calendar. By following that information, system can create accounting calendar and it can add the periods for which year you require. Now 23 we have, 24 we have. Again, if you want to add periods for next year, one click, it will add the periods for 2025. Reality, when you do the implementation, mostly we create periods for 2 to 3 years. So once we consume those years, when we are keep moving, we'll keep adding the periods for upcoming years. That's how we manage in the system. Okay, as a part of implementation, you may create the periods for 2 to 3 years. That's all. So this is all about accounting calendar creation. Any questions from anyone, please?
I have one question here. For example,
Yes.
the period, whatever we are open here, like 2024 December. Now, again, once the 2025 will come, again we have to add here, or system
Yes.
will automatically.
System will not do. You have to do it. You have to click on add here, it will be added.
So after implementation of the project, for example, now it is 2023. Now implementation has been completed by 2023 December. Now user is using this application. So in 2024 December, after that, that user have to add this year, correct?
User will not add. Okay, this should be done by consultant. User will not get access to this kind of setups. As a consultant, we do the setups.
Then
Setups
how
are very
consultant-
one second. Setups are very sensitive information. If something goes with the setups, it will impact on every user, many things. That is reason we never allow the business users to access through these pages. When we work as a consultant, as a part of implementation, we take care of all those. Once implementation is done, client will use that system. At that time, we may work as a support consultant. Okay, we'll be supporting when they're using the system. If they are facing some issues, we will help them to fix. So being a support consultant, you will take care of all this.
Okay, sir, understood. But how that consultant will get to know that I have to?
This is a basic thing, right? See, we are in the end of the year. When we are in the end of the year, definitely we are going, it means we are going to move to the next year. And another point is, if you are in the 2023, now when you are in the 2023 itself, you create the periods for 2 to 3 more years. Okay. Always you don't keep it as only for this year. No. Always you add at least 2 to 3 additional year periods also. Okay, no worries. You created periods only for 23. You are in the December. You want to move to next year, first period. You cannot go. Then consultant will come to know why we are not able to go, because there are no periods. Then they'll come to this page. One click, periods will be generated. Then they can jump into the next year, first period. That's it.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions, please? Okay, no questions. Okay, now you can say save and close. Done. So we created our accounting calendar. So any point of time you can go to that page and you can find your accounting calendar. The name what we given is Max. Max ACCCAL. Enter. There is no search field here. Directly use enter key from keyboard. And again, this is the search section. Sometimes you may see this section as a disabled. Okay, here you can open and close. See here. So click on it, it is opening. Again, if you click on the same, it is closing that search section. Okay, that's how you can manage the search in all the pages. Okay, done. The next point. I think it is, we are running out of the time. So fine, in the tomorrow session we'll talk about more detail level about this amount, how to deal with this amount, how to deal with the details. To deal with these details and amount, what we have to create in the system, how that information can be managed and tracked, we will discuss. Okay, today we discussed about date component. Within the transaction, we have to capture the date, details and amount. So the first component is date. If you want to keep dates ready in the system, you have to create the accounting calendar. How to create the accounting calendar, what are the points need to be considered, we discussed. Once you create implementation project, simply you cannot, once you create accounting calendar, simply you cannot go and modify. You have to take the wise decision by understanding about your future requirements, like you may require adjustment period in the future. So by including that adjustment period, at least one, you have to create accounting calendar. Once you create in the future, you cannot do the modifications to accounting calendar. You have to go with the same calendar. Calendar you cannot change. Inside of the periods, you can add periods also, you cannot change. You can add, that's all. So this is what we have to understand about accounting calendar. So we're done for today. If you have any questions, please stay back. We will discuss. If no questions, we will connect tomorrow, same time. And we'll continue from here. Any questions, please? Okay, no questions.
Yeah, Mr. Lakshman, one very small question. Actually, it may be silly. So actually,
Yeah,
when
please
you
ask
did
such kind of questions, because we are learning, right? When you
Yeah.
ask silly questions, you understand many things.
So initially, when you showed us the status, there were like 711 tasks, 800 tasks under each option. You mean actually we have the consultants will have so many tasks to do under each
Don't
thing?
worry about it. Don't worry
No,
about it.
even in live, I'm thinking, how is it
No,
done? So
live
that's
also
why.
I'm telling, don't worry about that. Okay. So
Okay.
we have to do very minimum task related setups.
So, but it'll be enough for real-time projects also. I
Real
mean,
time
it
only
won't
I'm
be.
talking. If I'm talking
Okay.
about training, what is the use?
Yeah, correct.
Always should target about real time. Yeah. You'll
Okay,
come to know
okay.
all those. Why, how. Okay.
Okay, sure.
You'll
No,
come.
I'm actually new to Oracle. I don't know at all. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You can ask that
Thank
kind
you.
of questions. But the point is, so there will be a lot. What we need,
Okay.
how we need, up to what mark, what is required by understanding, we have to utilize. That's it.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah. So any other questions, please?
Lakshman, I have one question related to this adjustment period.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a last date of December as a 31st December, and adjustment period as well. We have a date as a 31st December.
Yes.
Right. So is it not a overlapping of the transactions?
It's
Suppose we are
overlapping, but you are not going to enter real transactions into adjustment period. Whatever already you have in the other periods, real periods, that you are making additional note. That's all.
okay, you mean to say
It's
whatever are there?
overlapping, but period is adjustment period. That is the reason system is accepting. Otherwise, system also not ready to accept. It is marked as adjustment, right? You have seen the checkbox.
Mhm.
There is
Okay.
one
So
checkbox for
what kind
adjustment.
of entries goes into that adjustment period?
So we don't record any business transaction when we are closing the books in the end of the year. Okay. Say for example, take simple example, you purchase something from your supplier. Okay. So you purchase something from supplier for 1 lakh.
Okay.
If you record that 1 lakh related invoice in the payables, you can see how much you have to pay to the supplier, right?
Yes.
You can go to payables, you can see, okay, so and so supplier 1 lakh I have to pay, you can record. You are closing the books in the end of the year, you purchase something, but you not yet received invoice from the supplier. You are waiting for a supplier invoice. But already you arrived year end.
Okay.
Anyway, you are not going to record invoice in the payables, you are waiting for invoice. At least that you have to record in the adjustment period, saying so this amount also need to be considered as a liability. Reality that should be recorded in the payables, but we not yet received invoice. We may record later, temporary purpose here will record, so that when you generate the reports, it will be added into your liability.
Okay.
Otherwise, it may show only you have to pay 9 lakhs to supplier. You have to pay 1 more lakh, but that invoice is not recorded in the payables. It has to show 10, but invoice is not recorded, already you purchased. Since you purchased anyway, you have liability, right?
Yes.
That is missing. That you can adjust with this period. Within this period, you can add it.
Okay. But my doubt was like 30 till 31st December, we have recorded some real time invoice, suppose some real time liability. And also in adjustment period on 31st, we are recording which we missed to record during our normal period.
Correct.
Okay. So if some report we are having only date range, so in that case, it is not like wrong representation. If something on 31st December I want to see, but actually that transaction is not recorded on 31st.
Not
happened
recorded, but by 31st, you got liability. You are liable. You purchased, you received material. You not yet received. If you if you go with the assumption, my liability is only 10, is it right? No, right?
Okay.
See, you already purchased, you received 1 lakh worth of the material. You are liable only, right? You received, you have to pay.
Agree.
But not yet recorded. That you are routing in the different way. You are not recording directly in the December month. You are recording in the separate period. Then what you will do? This is a realized liability. This is what exactly we recorded and we have to pay. There is something which need to be recorded, which is not yet recorded. So that is 1 lakh you see in the adjustment period. That's manually you can take the calculation.
Lakshman, I have one question.
Yeah.
Lakshman, I have one question. Like in many of the companies, we see that different modules have the different closing times. So like if we see AP.
No, you will come to know all those. Okay, what is sequence, right? What is the sequence and how to close the periods, everything we will see in our classes.
Okay. And second question, which I wanted to understand, Lakshman, like defining of the periods is okay. But somewhere I think I missed on, like when we create the books, there are 3-4 set of books. Like companies create the local gap books.
You will
US gap.
no. Yeah, got it. It is so early to discuss. Even we not yet discussed about the names also. Okay. See, whatever you are talking as set of books, that is in the outdated version, really 11i. Okay. You're talking about 11i.
Okay.
So R12, the name they changed to primary ledger. The same we are using in the Fusion. Now instead of calling as a set of books, we have to call as ledgers.
So when we say as ledgers, so if I'm doing any entry in my local books, so because the set of accounting in the local books and the US GAAP is different. So if the ledger is, suppose I say India is a region. So if I I do the accounting in India books. So how does the accounting entries flow into the US books? So is there any
we
separate
have concepts. We have concepts. This is all we will see in our classes. Like wherever you are recording the transaction, that is your primary ledger. So whatever the reporting you have to do, that you can call as reporting ledger. If you have the accounting gap and all, if you want to implement, use the concept called as secondary ledger. And different options we have. We have a primary ledger, reporting ledger, secondary ledger, consolidation ledger. When you understand these ledgers, you will get your answers.
So this will come into the further classes.
Further classes as a part of GL application. These are all part of GL concepts. Okay. Within the GL application, we have many concepts. In those concepts, whatever we discussed just now, these are the few concepts.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Lakshman, just one more question. So intercompany is also part of our GL?
Yes, intercompany is part of GL and other applications also.
So when we talk about intercompany, it will involve GL, AP, AR, all.
Yes, all like you can see that when you talk about intercompany, you may record the transaction. Let this answer be between you and me. Okay. So you may record the transactions across the ledgers, or across the chart of accounts, or across the legal entities, or across the business units or operating units, right? It depends.
Okay, and just Lakshman, few more
No, no,
things.
don't try to understand all these now. No use. You cannot see the proof also.
No, no, I'm just understanding like these will get covered in our future sessions.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I mentioned. You don't worry about the concepts. I'm going to take care of really what you have to understand, what makes sense as of learning this course. That I'm going to take care. Yes, whatever we are addressing, yes, all we have.
No, it's just I wanted the confirmation that yeah, these are, we are going to cover in future. So one more thing which I wanted to understand on was like the bank, when we set up the banks. So do we cover the host to host integration between the external platforms also in the session?
That we cannot do that. How we can do the host to host? That should be done by technical team. SFTP servers are required. I will show you that setups. What, as a finance consultant, what setups we do, I'll show you that.
Okay.
So bank has to provide that SFTP credentials and all that we cannot do here. Okay. So, but
As a
whatever we
functional
discuss in
consultant,
our
that will not be
classes, that is
problem.
enough for you when you are working. You said you do your work, then they will do their work. Those will get connected and it will work. That's all.
Okay.
Fine. Any other questions, please? Okay. So no questions. Then that's all for today. Let's connect tomorrow same time. Thank you.
Lakshman, just
Lakshman.
one more thing, one last thing. I want to connect personally with you. So is that possible after some time?
Yes, you can talk to the team. They will arrange the call. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lakshman, one question.
Please.
So I just because I lack some financial knowledge, so I just want to understand. So typical business requirements, how those would be like those
You
would
will
be
consider
setups
everything
on.
in the classes. Everything we are going to
Okay.
discuss. I have to first explain the business case, then
Mhm.
how to do the setups in the system, how that can be executed by using the system. What is the critical business process organizations follows with respect to finance and supply chain, and how these finance and supply chain management applications are connected, how the streamlined process can be carried out across these applications. Everything we discuss theoretically, and we do the setup to support that process, and we'll execute the process within the system. You come with a zero knowledge about finance, no worries, you will learn.
Okay, yeah, got it. Thank you.
You don't need to plan for something else. You attend the classes, you will get whatever you need.
Yes, because I was not sure on which course to choose, so that's why I just
No
asked.
worries. Even you are from BTech background, no worries. You can
Mhm.
understand everything from these classes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, done. So we'll connect tomorrow same time. Thank you.